Touchdown, Pittsburgh!
Touchdown, Washington!
What's going on, boys and girls? Welcome to a brand new episode, emergency episode of the Steelskin Show, a show hosted by one diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan and one diehard Washington Redskins fan. From game recaps, game previews, news headlines, analysis, opinions, and all kinds of other stuff, we've got you covered on all things Pittsburgh Steelers and Washington Redskins. My name is Patrick, and I'm the voice of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And I'm Chris, voice of the Washington Redskins.
Hey. Chris, emergency episode of the Steelskin Show tonight. We had no intention of doing a show today, but then football kind of happened. A lot of big stuff happened today. Also, it gives us an excuse, boys and girls, to do that little 53-man roster evaluation, baby. We were a little bummed last night talking about how we weren't going to get a chance to do a prediction show, but now we have an excuse to do one. So
That's
lucky
right.
you guys. But, yeah, just a big day, especially more for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big thing happened for us today. We signed a player.
Oh,
whoa.
I mean, and coming on the heels of last night when you were saying you just felt like you basically had a team full of
Slot guys.
Yeah. This is a big deal. You get Joe Haden.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess let's wind the clocks back yesterday. So we heard the rumors and the reports flying yesterday that Joe Haden was either going to be released or traded by the Browns. The Browns were unable to find a trade suitor for him, so they in turn just released him. And all the Steelers blog sites that I follow, I love every single one of you, but they tend to be more of the what-if type of people, and everybody was playing with the, what if we got Joe Haden? Here's how we make it happen. I have to eat my own foot on this one, Chris. You saw me earlier on Twitter today just being like, there's a 0% chance we sign Joe Haden. It's not going to happen. There's no possible way. Then, once Adam Schefter does say, hey, they've released him, all of a sudden he comes out with the Steelers are leading the charge right now to sign him.
Yeah, that was his first.
That was the first thing he said. And then it became, it's only a matter of time before they sign him. It went from they're the favorites to it's just a matter of getting to 4 p.m. Even then, I was still a doubter. Dude, couple of minutes after 4 p.m., Steelers signed Joe Haden to a 3-year, $27 million deal. This year, he is going to make $7 million is fully guaranteed to him this season. I mean, I guess I'm shocked, Chris. I can't believe that we actually have Joe Haden on the team. I can't believe we signed this type of cornerback. I mean, no one saw this coming at all. I mean, there was no way you could have predicted this. No way you could have planned this. I'll tell you how I feel about this overall. I don't think as a Steelers fan right now, Chris, you can hate this. I want to be very clear about Joe Haden. I can't say that I was in love with the signing. I can't say it was it made my day. But at the same time, Steelers fans, let me ask you a very, very honest question. And Chris, I'll ask you as well. Would you rather have Joe Haden or Ross Cockrell?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's. I mean, look, I think Joe Haden has been overrated from the day he was drafted.
Well, I don't agree with that. I think Haden, because you remember back in years 2010 through 2013, he was a 2-time Pro Bowler during that
Right,
span.
but I always felt like he was one of these guys that flashed in a really short period of time.
Sure.
And then it was over.
Yeah.
And I'm like you. There are parts of his game that I just don't like.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm with you.
But,
there are bad things about Haden.
But you are dead on it, man. He's better than what they have on the other side of Artie Burns.
Yes, and
he's better by a long shot.
That is what it all comes down to. We are very comfortable with Artie Burns. We're excited about Artie Burns. But on that other outside corner, I mean, Cody Sensabaugh, even though he's leading Cockrell right now, I can't say I'm overly excited about Cody Sensabaugh.
Right.
And I'm certainly not excited about Ross Cockrell.
It's kind of like where the Redskins have been over the years at safety. It's kind of like they always went into camp and we're just going to throw some dudes in a bag and shake it up and see who falls out.
Right.
And you just knew you were completely running at a deficit.
Yep.
So I think that it's a good move.
Well, look, for how many years have we been complaining about can we just get a real outside corner?
Right.
Stop with the BS. Get us a real outside corner. Steelers fans, maybe Joe Haden's not your favorite guy in the world, but this is a true outside corner. You can't say that he's not.
No, he is an outside guy who has good traits.
He does. He does.
He has good traits.
And look, I'm not going to lie. His play has definitely dipped over the last several years. There's no denying that. 2016 was a little bit of a bounce-back year for him. I felt like 2014 through 2015 were just very terrible years for him. I felt like he had a little bit of a bounce-back year last year. But look, guys, there was a point in this guy's career where he was a two-time Pro Bowler, two-time All-Pro. Yeah. This is a guy who has 19 career interceptions. That's certainly nothing to scoff at. I just don't – you can't get mad at the Steelers front office for this move. Now, the big question here that a lot of you might be wondering is, what does this mean? Chris, Ross Cockrell's gone. Man.
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean, I don't think – Cody Sensabaugh has had the better camp of the two. He's had the better preseason of the two. I also think he gives you a little more in the way of versatility. Cody can play on the outside. He can play in the slot. Cody can also give you some snaps at safety if you had an emergency.
Yeah, he's done that before too in his career. So I think that's a good point. You allow Cody Sensabaugh to be what he's best at, and that is a jack of all trades for you.
If you need
just kind of the Swiss Army knife type of guy.
That's exactly
Instead of forcing him out there. Now, it's going to take some time for Haden to get up to speed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, look, he's going to be the day one guy.
Oh, yeah. What I'm saying is there's going to be some bumps.
Oh, there will. And by the way, guys, what he just said is so true. If Haden gives up one pass play, please don't get on Twitter and
overreact.
Here we go, Colbert, another bust.
Well, I'll just say this real quick. There are a ton of Redskin fans on Twitter today saying, man, we got to get this guy. And I was like, why? Why do we need him?
You have Breland, you have Norman, you have a a developing guy in
Fabian Moreau. We have Kendall Fuller. But, a couple of guys with, I think kind of got things calmed down. I'm not going to, give their names, but had some good tweets. One of them said, look, Joe Haden is basically a notch below Bashaud Breeland on Breeland's best day.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Now, if you get bad Breeland, then sure, everybody would probably wish, man, we should have got Joe Haden. But, obviously we don't have that kind of cap space.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a pretty sensible contract.
It was a very sensible contract. And here was something that I kind of wanted to end with. One thing that excites me about Joe Haden is that he wanted to come to Pittsburgh. Folks, I read a couple of the reports that some of these NFL insiders put up today. He turned down big money from other teams today.
Well, a lot of people, as of last night, there was a lot of speculation that he would want to go West Coast.
Well, I did hear that the Cowboys were interested. The 49ers were apparently interested. But from what I was reading is his agent had some big numbers for him from some of these other teams. Yeah. The Steelers gave him the lower end of the deal. But to me, that speaks volumes. He wanted to come to Pittsburgh. So I really appreciate that. That's you're loyal. You're grateful. And here's the final thing I'll say, and then we'll move on to our 53-man roster evaluation or prediction, if you will. Say whatever you want about the Pittsburgh Steelers front office, but Chris, I have not seen this front office be this aggressive in a very long time.
No, I haven't either.
AB got the contract done. Le'Veon Bell didn't get it done, but can't say you didn't offer him a fair deal. Offered him a more than lucrative deal. He turned it down. Alejandro Villanueva got it done. Stephon Tuitt expected to get it done anytime soon. Hey, we don't have we lost Ladarius Green. Where's our athletic tight end? We'll go get Vance McDonald.
Yeah, right. That's right.
We'll go get him. That solves your problems there. Oh,
yeah,
hey.
Pittsburgh is usually
we usually don't do jack
at a snail's pace.
Yes.
So for them to
I don't know how to take
get out there and be so proactive.
Yep.
And I think it speaks though. Do you think that this is maybe saying that look, we recognize this window isn't as big as it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yep.
And if we've got a chance to make big improvements, let's go ahead and do it.
Yep. You don't have guys like Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, Ben on the same team every day of the week. And I feel like, I think you just said it. The Steelers realize if we're going to get Lombardi 7, it's going to be now. It's going to be right. It's going to be right now.
Yeah, we're going to make it this window instead of thinking 4 or 5 years down the road.
Yeah. And guys, you got what you wanted. You got an athletic tight end. And you got a true outside cornerback. So there's no way right now to predict if they're going to be bust or not. I mean, you just can't predict those kinds of things. But you can't say that the front office wasn't busy trying to get quality players at these positions. So Big ups to the Steelers front office. I am more than impressed. Chris, you want to do a little 53-man roster prediction there, son?
Let's do it.
Chris, let's start with you, sir. Let's start with the Washington Redskins 53-man roster. Final prediction.
Well, actually, I do want to split hairs. This is not a prediction.
Right.
Okay.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the reason it's not a
prediction.
The reason it's not a prediction on my side, is that I don't have any idea what those guys were thinking in that room.
Sure.
And if you sit here and you do this 53, if I sit here and go all in on this prediction thing, then I'm going to be really mad Saturday if my predictions don't pan out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I'm going to give you the 53 that I think ought to be there.
In other words, the guys you want to see.
Right. These are the guys I want to see on the 53.
And that's how I design mine as well.
It's
totally biased.
You might, you might listen to this like, dude, that guy's an idiot.
This guy's whack.
I'm glad he is where he's at and not in an NFL front office. You may feel like that. But anyway, I'll sleep good tonight just getting it out there.
Hey, if it gets us views, man, that's all I care about.
All right, so I'm going to start on defense.
Okay. How many? 26, 25, 24?
Oh, we're going 26.
Okay.
I'm going 26. I am keeping 7 defensive linemen. Okay? And my 7 defensive linemen are as follows. Stacey McGee, Terrell McClain, Jonathan Allen, Ziggy Hood is man number 4.
Former Steeler.
Jim Ioannidis, who has made an excellent comeback. And by the way, I'm not going to do an in-depth analysis on this. We'll do that on our next show.
Yeah, we're basically going to spit a lot of these guys out.
We're just going to throw names out there. That's what I'm planning to do tonight. Ioannidis, I think, has done more than enough to make the team. Anthony Lanier and Joey Mbu at nose tackle. Yes, I am keeping a nose tackle, and I want it said right here that, folks, a 330-pound defensive tackle can play in a 4-man line. There's not a rule that says he has to play nose guard in a 3-4 lineman.
Yeah,
he can line up.
If the guy's balling, then
okay. If one of your big problems is giving up runs when you're a 4-man line, maybe one of those dudes needs to be a 330-pound space eater. I picked him. Mbu has flashed more to me, but I would not hate if Ron Francis was in this spot either. I feel like both of them have played well, but you were going to keep most fans are saying that, and most people felt like Phil Taylor was going to be on this football team.
Yeah, that's
so
tough.
If you're going to keep Taylor, why wouldn't you slide the guys that have been playing in behind him into that slot? So 7 defensive linemen is what I'm keeping. I understand most teams only activate 5 for game day, so obviously 2 would be in street clothes, but it does give you some workable depth. I feel like it's a good move.
Okay.
Linebackers, I'm going to keep 9, 5 outside and 4 inside. My outside linebackers, Ryan Anderson, Anderson, Kerrigan, Junior Gillette, Preston Smith, and Chris Carter, who I really felt like was going to have a tough time making this team when camp started, but he's done nothing but ball out on special teams, and he has shown nice pep on in pass rush situations on the outside. So I feel like he's done enough to make the team. Inside linebackers pretty straightforward. Zach Brown and Mason Foster are my starters. Will Compton and Martrell Spate are my inside backers. I'm keeping 5 corners since we're going to keep an extra defensive lineman here and an extra outside linebacker. I'm going to keep 5 corners. It's Breland, Norman as quarterbacks 1 and 2. Actually, Norman's 1, Breland's 2. Fabian Monroe, cornerback 3. Kendall Fuller 4, and Joshua Holsey. I'm keeping him. I would keep him over Quentin Dunbar. I feel like in some ways we just hit a wall with Dunbar.
Yeah,
I feel like he's gone as far as he can. I feel like Fuller could translate his game to the outside if we had to have him in an emergency, an injury situation.
Sure.
Holsey is built to play the slot. Don't want to take a chance on losing this guy off the practice squad.
Surprising, bro. Surprising.
So that's my take there. Safety is very straightforward. Sua Cravens and DJ Swearinger are the starters. DeShazer Everett, Monte Nicholson, and Will Blackman make up the next 5. Will Blackman brings you special teams ability. Plus, in a pinch, he could play corner too. That's his natural position. He's actually better as a corner than he is a safety. But I like the.
And you think Nicholson's making it? Monte Nicholson.
Yeah, I don't think they drafted this guy in the 4th, and he's played well this preseason. The 2 games he's been active. I mean, he's looked like he belongs.
Okay.
He's looked fast and he's looked physical. I do think Nicholson makes the football team. Obviously, looks like D Hall starts on the PUP. How that shakes out once the season starts, what his status becomes, that's going to be a fluid situation. But at least those are my initial 26 guys. Offensively, I'm only keeping 2 quarterbacks. The Nate Sudfeld train, I don't know what to tell you.
Only 2?
I'm keeping 2.
Ooh.
Yeah, Cousins and McCoy.
Oh, isn't that risky though? I mean, don't you feel like?
I mean, here's the thing: if Kirk Cousins goes down in a game, Colt McCoy goes in. I say put Sudfeld on the practice squad. If for some reason he doesn't make the practice squad, add another guy. If you're down to your 3rd quarterback, man,
it's obviously
who are you gonna? I mean, is Nate Sudfeld ready to lead this football team and play winning football? No, I don't think so.
Of course not.
So don't let him. I just don't see taking up a roster spot with a purely developmental player who is not going to dress most of the games.
You just triggered a lot lot of people sir.
But most games, Nate Sudfeld's going to be in street clothes. They're not going to dress. Sometimes they might, but most of the time they're not. So give one of those positions to the defensive guys. So 2 quarters. Running back, it pains me. I'm only going to keep 3 initially. Going to keep Kelly, P. Ryan, and Chris Thompson. I love Mac Brown. I just think it's tough sledding for him to get
make it on
to break it out to break in and make the 53. He might. I'm not going to be sad if he does at all. I'm not against the guy. I would love to get him back on the practice squad. I think he's definitely worth trying to get to the practice squad in case you had to have him. Receiver, I'm keeping 6. Pretty simple. Pryor, Crowder, and Dotson are the starting 3. Ryan Grant, who will always be with us. Maurice Harris and Robert Davis. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm keeping Ryan Grant because I know he's going to make it. If I was totally going on a roster that I wanted to be, I would have Quick instead of Grant. I would have Brian Quick on the roster. I can't even picture that happening. So I think Ryan Grant's going to make it. So I guess in my way it's a prediction. I guess I'm just nodding to reality.
Yeah.
4 tight ends. Reed, Davis, Niles Paul, and Sprinkle. Niles Paul makes it. He's just too versatile, too valuable to not be on the roster. I don't think they drafted Sprinkle in the 5th to cut him. I think he offers them something that they don't have, and that is an inline blocker.
Was he the guy out of Arkansas?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like this guy's got a niche on this team, and it's worth developing. Mark Carrier is odd man out in that situation. Offensive line, I'm only keeping 8, which I guess that's pretty standard. Starting 5, obviously, will be Long, Laval, Sheriff, Trent Williams, and Morgan Moses. And the backups will be Chase Roulier, who's actually got a decent shot to start the first game of the season, depending on Long's availability, which could cause an initial 53, which you could see a little bit of monkeying around with that, depending on how Long's progressing. So that's one to keep an eye on, because you could see a short-term center on the roster.
What about that center who the Steelers sent over? Come on, man.
Yeah, the 290-pound center. Lucas Crowley.
Hey.
North Carolina native.
Tar Heel. We weren't excited about Deshaun Phillips either.
You shouldn't be. You really shouldn't be.
We did not even address it on the show, and there's a reason, folks.
Yeah, I mean,
we did not even want to mention
He was rough last year. Yeah. But anyway, I think the backups, obviously, Roulier, Tyne-Secchi, and Kyle Callis. I think Quanjo gets cut. I don't have a problem if it's Tyler Catalina moving in. I would love to get Tyler Catalina to the practice squad if he doesn't make it to 53. It's an awesome name.
Man. Whoa.
So that's my 53. And then 3 specialists, obviously, Hopkins, Tressway, and Nick Sundberg. Those are the guys that I would like on this football team. How close, and I don't really care how close I am or I'm not.
You do care, bro.
But we'll
take pride in your 53.
I love my 53. I just don't think it's going to look very much like that.
That's the problem.
But anyway, I think Tuesday, obviously, we'll go a little more in depth.
Yep,
but that's all. That's what I've got.
Okay, sir. All right. Guess we'll kick it over to myself now. We'll start with the offense for me. 24 offensive players, obviously keeping 3 quarterbacks, Ben Roethlisberger, Landry Jones, and Joshua Dobbs in that order. Landry Jones is the number 2 guy. Joshua Dobbs, he did not do enough this preseason. Nor did, even if this guy did have a solid preseason, Chris, I still don't think Dobbs would have been the number 2 guy. I just think the Steelers are not ready to give him the keys just yet. So Landry is your number 2 guy. Sorry, Yinzers. Running backs, Le'Veon Bell, James Conner, and I am, Chris, you said it, this is my 53-man roster. This is mine. You can sue me all you want. Terrell Watson, goodbye, Niall Davis. And I understand that is harsh to do that because, man, Niall Davis has had a good offseason. He's ran the football well. He obviously gives you that extra dimension on special teams, being a kick returner and a punt returner. But, man, I like Terrell Watson's size. I also like the speed that comes along with the size. I love the power running. I can't not have this guy. He has to make my 53. I understand that I'll probably be wrong, but this is my dream world, and I make the rules. So Terrell Watson is on my final roster. 1 fullback, that is Roosevelt Nix. No shock there. Offensive linemen, we're keeping 8 like you guys, and I think this has been set in stone for a while. Alejandro Villanueva at left tackle, Ramon Foster at left guard, Marquise Pouncey at center, David DeCastro at right guard, and Marcus Gilbert at right tackle. Those are your starting 5. Your depth guys are going to be B.J. Finney, Chris Hubbard, and Gerald Hawkins. I will, however, say that there was a point in time where I flirted with keeping 9 linemen, and Matt Filer would have been my 9th guy. To be completely honest with you, Chris, I think Matt Filer did enough this offseason to make this 53. I just don't think the Steelers are keeping 9 linemen. They've got so many other critical areas. They need that extra player. So Matt Filer, in that case, he is definitely going to make the practice squad. Moving on to tight ends now. Chris, I think Vance McDonald right off the bat is going to be your number 1 tight end. Jesse James is going to make this team, but I do think he gets pushed by McDonald, and then David Johnson. Johnson has been the most solid tight end this offseason for us, and that leaves Xavier Grimble as the odd man out. We talked about that last night. I felt like Grimble was the odd man out. Felt like that this guy had little moments here and there, but this guy never did enough to prove that he could be our big vertical downhill threat tight end. So I'm sorry, Xavier Grimble. Wide receivers. Okay, so this was a tough one to sort through. The first 4 are all locks. I think we've known it for a long time. Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, Eli Rogers, and Juju Smith-Schuster. My last 2, and I know I'm going to kind of contradict my own words here, Darius Hayward-Bay, I think, is making this team, and Chris, I think Sammy Coates is making this team. I wanted to say Justin Hunter, but this guy... Chris, you remember the earlier parts of camp for the Steelers. Justin Hunter was the darling of camp. He was catching touchdown passes left and right. Ben Roethlisberger was going all on about him. Then about midway through camp, he gets this bad injury, and he misses 7 consecutive practices. Has only caught 3 catches this entire preseason, and here's something that stood out to me where I said, whoa. In this past game against the Colts, he only had 2 offensive snaps, and get ready, no special team snaps. Even the guys on the lower end of the depth chart are going to get special team snaps. So the fact that Mike Tomlin didn't even throw him out there with the special teams, that kind of told me all I needed to know. It's unfortunate. It's sad because I was really hype about Justin Hunter in the earlier parts of camp. But I just think this guy's injury kind of wrecked it all, and I don't think he's done enough. So I'm sorry, Justin Hunter. Moving on to the defense, I think we are keeping 26 total defensive players. On the defensive line, Cameron Hayward, Javon Hargrave, Stephon Tuitt are your starting 3. Your depth guys are going to be Tyson Aluala, LT Walton, and Johnny Maxey. So here's the thing. At this point in time, Johnny Maxey is my 6th and final guy. However, I am going to leave myself a little bit of wiggle room. Lavon Hooks has had a very, very solid offseason. He's had a good camp. He's had a very solid preseason. And at times, I think Hooks has even gotten the better of Maxey a little bit. Due to Maxey's already, his experience on the team, getting on the field last year in the later parts of the season, I do think he is the favorite. But I am not going to be overly shocked if Lavon Hooks edges him. That's all I'm trying to say. Inside linebackers, I think we're keeping 4. They are Ryan Shazier, Vince Williams, Tyler Matakevich, and L.J. Fort. I do think Steven Johnson gets the boot. And for a good number of reasons, man, L.J. Fort just gives you so much more bang for your buck. Steven Johnson, man, he's special teams, and that's it.
Right.
Fort, on the other hand, is primarily going to be special teams, but this guy in a pinch can give you snaps at inside linebacker, and at times can do it quite well. Can cover well, can get after the passer well. This guy at times has kind of displayed some Ryan Shazier-esque qualities to me, so L.J. Fort, I think, is that 4th and final guy. Outside linebackers, Bud Dupree, T.J. Watt, James Harrison, Anthony Chickalo, and Arthur Moats. Obviously, Keon Adams goes on season-ending injured reserve because of the shoulder injury, which means, by default, Arthur Moats is the 5th and final guy. So, in terms of starters, I don't know. I guess we'll wait till a later show to hash out whether it's going to be T.J. Watt or James Harrison. It looks like it's going to be T.J. Watt right now, but we'll get to that when we get to it. On the cornerback side of things, where I think we're keeping 6 corners, and Chris, they are as follows. Artie Burns, Joe Haden, Cameron Sutton, William Gay, Mike Hilton, and Cody Sensabaugh. Sorry, Ross Cockrell, but I think Joe Haden immediately pushes Cockrell out the door. I think Burns and Haden are your 2 starting outside guys. In the slot, I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to say what we're going to do in the slot right now. I think Mike Hilton could be the favorite right now because he's been getting the most reps with the first team. Of course, you've always got tried and true William Gay who could start in the slot. Cameron Sutton, it's going to be interesting to see what we do with him. And then Cody Sensabaugh, he's kind of your Swiss Army knife there in the secondary. You can do a ton of things with him. But anyway, sorry, Ross Cockrell. I try to defend you as much as I could, man, but this is goodbye. And safeties. Okay. Chris, I am in the minority on this, and I know that I am most likely going to be wrong, but this is what I would do if I was in control. Most people feel like we're only keeping 4. I would keep 5. I'm going Mike Mitchell, Sean Davis, Jordan Dangerfield, Robert Golden, and Jacob Hagan would be my 5th and final safety. There's a couple of reasons why Jacob Hagan is making my roster. First off, Mike Mitchell, Chris, is very injury prone. We all can't wait to get Mike Mitchell back on the football field, but let's be honest, man. This guy's been injured quite a lot over the last couple of seasons. In that case, and maybe I should give Keith Butler and Mike Tomlin a little bit more credit, but if Mike Mitchell goes down, I think they're moving Sean Davis to free safety, and I think they're going to bring Robert Golden in as your strong safety. I would do Jordan Dangerfield, but I fear that they'll do Robert Golden. In that situation, the only other guy you have after Golden is just Dangerfield. So I think to give them a little bit of extra security at safety, I would keep Jacob Hagan on there. Not to mention, folks, Jacob Hagan really impressed Mike Tomlin last season and made this team's practice squad. This season, Mike Tomlin has been saying more good things about him. He's had a good camp. He's had a good preseason. I think Hagan has done enough to make this final 53. I really do. And then, of course, your specialist, you've got Chris Boswell as your kicker, Jordan Berry as your punter, and your boy, Colin Holba, as your long snapper. Chris, there are your Steelers 53-man, final 53-man roster, my edition.
Awesome.
That's all I got, man.
It just feels good to make it yours.
Yeah, I feel like I have a lot of power right now, at least until Saturday when I realize I have none at all.
Right, at least until we see the actual rosters.
Just give me a paper cut and pour lemon juice in it.
Yeah.
Chris, I think that's all I got, buddy.
That's all I got.
That's all I got, too.
Oh, whoa, real quick. I mean, okay, twist. So there's a lot of talk about Sheldon Richardson from the Jets. The Jets have kind of reopened the store and trying to shop him pretty hard.
Our buddy Manny Benton's lobbying, man. He's been lobbying big time.
The Redskins are mentioned along with Dallas, Denver. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 teams. I will give you my take very quickly. If you could get him for Mark Carrier and a 5th-round pick and you could figure out how to rework that contract, I'm not hating it. I do not want to see a 4th-round pick from next year leave for him. I don't. I'm sorry. That's where I would draw the line.
Yeah. But so, you would have to give up something for Richardson, though. You definitely have to give up a...
Well, you'd have to kind of build a package. I mean, maybe a 5th round and Mark Carrier, and maybe I'd throw in Matt Jones. I'd throw Matt Jones in almost for nothing.
Yeah.
And then maybe some kind of conditional pick in 2019.
Watch him go to the Jets and just be an all-pro.
They probably will, but I don't care. But anyway, I don't want to give a ton draft pick-wise for him. I think he's an excellent player, and he would certainly reshape the 53.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of money. It's a guy that maybe has a little bit of an attitude issue.
Yeah.
So don't take on that and give up a lot in the draft for that.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay. Guys, I think that's going to do it for us tonight. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter. We are at Steelskin Show. Follow us individually. I am at P_Garrison. He is at CGLSKSC. Like the show on Facebook, facebook.com/Steelskin Show. If you're listening on iTunes, be sure to rate, subscribe, and write us a little review. That would really help us out. And YouTube, you know the drill. Please subscribe to the channel. Comment below. Join the conversation. Chris, I think that's all I got. I'm really excited. Tomorrow I'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina, watching the Pittsburgh Steelers final preseason game. The only problem is that it's going to be in the pouring rain.
And all reserves.
Yes.
So, yeah,
yay
enjoy
me,
that.
Yay. No, seriously, I looked at the weather forecast today, and it's
going to rot.
Yeah, so.
It's going to rot. Make it a quick night. There's a lot downtown. I mean, there's some cool restaurants downtown Charlotte.
Yeah. I don't see myself staying for 4 quarters through this one. I mean, maybe beginning in the 4th, but, man, I just feel like I'm going to reach that critical point during the night where,
dude,
I'm going to see the Steelers play, so follow me on Twitter for live updates. Actually, you could just watch the game for yourself on TV in the comfort of your home. And you don't have to look at my Twitter updates. What am I talking about? Everybody, that's going to do it for us until next week. Good night.